Hey everybody, what is happening? It is Rob from Crypto Bobby. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. Appreciate y'all taking the time to join me and just getting things queued up here as we kick it off. What is up? What is up, everybody? Hope you are having a good one. And it's been an exciting day by pretty much all accounts in the crypto world. It's been a little bit nuts, a little bit crazy, so it should be kind of interesting to see how things pan out, how things shake out. If you guys can hear me, if you guys can see my screen all right, just let me know in the comments. That'd be pretty damn awesome. I would appreciate that. And that's that really today. Just wanted to talk about a couple different things. Obviously, the market's moved quite a bit today, going from it's been all over the damn map today. The market. Really kind of dropping from the 3,900 range, or excuse me, dropping from the 3,800 range or so the past couple of hours, the past 8 hours or so, falling off a cliff to the 3,500s before it's picked back up. So we've had some movements today. Today's like today are the days that make me interested and quite frankly kind of get me excited about crypto, because there's not many other spaces, there's not many other places in the world where, this type of shit happens, and this type of, quite frankly, you can make money off this, you can lose money off this, you can build a Bitcoin stack, you can lose part of your Bitcoin stack running on this type of environment. So always interesting, always fun to, always fun to see as well. Guys, give me 1 second here just to make sure the internet is kind of working good for you. Coming to you from a conference room today, so the internet isn't super incredible. So sorry about that, guys. Hopefully, hopefully everything is working all right. But yeah, coming from a conference room right now at kind of 5 p.m. after work, and I'm actually heading to happy hour later, so about 6 p.m. So we're gonna run this for about an hour or so as well. Now, kind of going into things, guys. If you have questions too, let me know in the comments at any point in time. Really happy to hear about those questions. Happy to go over them again. But I mean, as far as kind of my thoughts today, not that I necessarily full on predicted this happening, but I talked in my video this morning about a lot of the kind of FUD and the BS around China. And if you haven't seen that, I would definitely recommend going to check that out. But there's a lot of FUD around China from the perspective of potentially banning over-the-counter trading, OTC trading, as well as even going so far as to, from a mining perspective, even going so far from a mining standpoint as to kind of centralize Bitcoin mining in China from a government standpoint. So that, I think, has had a little bit to do in terms of the negative outlook on the price. Which has been crazy to see. I've actually made some trades. I sold a good bit of quite frankly, I sold a good bit of Bitcoin and Ethereum in this range right here, back in the 3860 range, just in anticipation of a lot of this happening, because I kind of figured that there might be a bit of a dip today. But with that being said, I'm kind of waiting on the majority of my altcoin holdings right now are in my ledger, so I'm not touching those, but I do have some Bitcoin, some Ethereum within GDAX. So I put them from GDAX, and I've been buying and selling a little bit here and there, and right now I've taken a lot of I've moved a lot of my Bitcoin and Ethereum holdings into US dollar and GDAX, waiting for it to potentially go lower. I don't know if it's going to dip lower than this, quite frankly. I mean, we've dipped quite a bit so far off really not any news per se. Nothing concrete has come out, but we're having this big, massive dip at this point in time. So, with that being said, we'll see exactly what happens there, but I'm keeping my money on the sidelines until I see like a convincing move upwards, or at least some of my trading money, until I have a convincing move upwards, or until we're going lower and I could buy it maybe at sub 3,500, or even from an Ethereum perspective, if I'm looking at ETH, if I can buy, sub 250 ETH, if that's possible, and I think that definitely might be possible too as well. So taking a look at some of these, taking a look at some of the questions here, trying to pull these up so I can get a good feel for kind of where you guys are. Opium Fish mentioned, what city am I located in? Manhattan, New York City. So that's kind of where I'm based out of. So East Coast, U.S. And going into some of these questions as well, kind of talking about what prices that we can, what prices we can expect, where, we could see those potential dips. It'll be interesting to see, but, for me personally, if it gets to under, and I don't know where it might be. I don't know if it's going under $3,000. I think that might be a little bit aggressive. I mean, we really didn't even kind of go under $3,000 previously with really concrete negative news. So to go under $3,000 right now, I think might be a little bit aggressive. But outside of that, I mean, if it goes under 3,500 for me, I feel like that's a bargain. I feel like that's a pretty solid deal, pretty solid opportunity as well. Dialing in from Austin. I've actually never been. I've been to Dallas. I've never been to Austin. I really want to go to Austin. So I love barbecue food and I love Mexican food, and I hear you guys do both of those really well. So give me 1 second here. But I really love barbecue food, love Mexican food, and if I can spend some of this on, spend some of that Bitcoin money on, on that type of food, I'd love to. But yeah, I think 3,000 is pretty aggressive as far as going underneath it. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I wouldn't say that we're not going to dip any lower than we are possibly right now for sure. So that's kind of where where my head's at. Like I said, I have my trading stack. I have kind of like a holding stack where I basically keep my altcoins of, which is Civic. Right now, Manitha, I'm holding until it hits a larger exchange, and then I'll probably take a lot of profits in Manitha, hopefully, if that spikes up. And I'm blanking right now as well on some of the other ones I'm holding. But and Omise Go OMG, holding OMG right now, even though OMG's taken quite a bit of a hit today, but kind of keeping the rest the US dollars in case that it goes down quite a bit. So somebody mentioned, can I explain why it's dipping? There's a lot of issues around, China right now. I think that's causing instability. Outside of that, I think people are taking profits here or there. The one thing I will say too, and it's kind of something that I don't know, maybe a little bit of it annoys me, and maybe this just might be, my own gripe personally, but when people try to blame other people for selling or for, whatever, it's your money. Do whatever you want to do with it. When people are complaining about people having weak hands and people selling, it's your money. If you want to buy shit, buy shit. If you want to sell shit, sell shit. But it's like the markets. It's not up to you what people do. And if you want to sit and complain that people are selling, then go cry to mommy. At the same point in time, you can also, I mean, if you want to sell, if you want to hold, if you want to do whatever you do whatever you want to do. But I mean, as far as things go in the marketplace there, that's just kind of my overall thoughts. For me, long-term, I'm long-term very positive on Bitcoin. I'm positive on Ethereum. I'm positive on on some of these altcoins as well. And long-term, I'm a holder. But when it comes down to, short-term trading or anything like that, people can make money. You can make money trading in the short term. You can make money holding. But don't criticize other people whether they're buying or they're trading. I mean, I think that's kind of something that a lot of people bitch and moan about, and it's just shut up. I don't know. Sorry for getting aggressive there, but that's my thoughts. So a couple different people mentioning some things today. And I can go into a couple different questions here. So thoughts on Monero, on 10x, and I know a couple different people have done. I've kind of experimented with it a little bit, but I don't know if anybody's ever done the super. We've had a couple different people do the super chat, which is like $1 or $2 tip or whatever the hell tip you want to do. I try to get to as many of these questions as possible. If you have a question like you really want me to get to, throw in one of the super chats within YouTube. I put up I set up some like special thing that hopefully will actually pop up if you set up a super chat there. So hopefully, if anybody has a question like that, I'm trying to get to as many as I can. But if you have a question you really want to answer, throw up a super chat. I have a little pop up that'll come up, which will be pretty cool. Hopefully, if it actually works. So we'll see what goes on there. But yeah, going through as many of these questions as possible. And Mike Galloway mentioned market is the market. And yeah, couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. And going through these as much as possible here. So thoughts on Monero long term. I am not a Monero holder yet, but it is something that I'm looking to kind of hop into and potentially take advantage of Monero. I think privacy coins, there's multiple privacy coins for sure, but I think privacy coins are going to continue to grow in the future from a usability perspective. And I'm looking forward to kind of examining, I've said it before, but whether it's Monero, whether it's Zcash, whether it's XVG, if it's Navcoin, there's quite a number of different privacy coins that I'm looking at, and I'll probably end up choosing one that I think would be something that I'd really be interested in. So trying to kind of evaluate right now and looking at which one would be a good fit for me. Roger, what is up from Brazil, dude? Appreciate you dialing in from another continent, so nice to be speaking with you. Hope all is well. And as far as the market goes today, when we're looking at things, as far as the market goes today, not necessarily seeing stabilization right now. We're back at 3660 or so. And with that being said, it looks like this is the first actually 2 hours where we've actually had it in the green for the most part. So 2 back-to-back hours. I don't know if we might have bottomed out. Who knows? But for me right now, I'm keeping things on the sideline, like I said, where I might have an opportunity to buy back in even lower. Right now, if I were to buy back in, I'd be increasing my stack for sure, because I sold some of my stack at, the vast majority of my portfolio is down right now, but I sold some of my stack at about 3,800 or 3,850 or so to buy back in lower. So if I were to buy back in right now, that is a decent increase on the overall stack. But outside of that, and taking a look at these questions, and again, too, guys, if that super chat thing, if you really have something you want me to get to, just throw it in there. But outside of that, try and get to as many of these as possible. Alex Fine mentioned, is Coinbase, excuse me, is Coinbase literally the worst exchange? I actually like Coinbase, but what you want to do is you want to use GDAX. GDAX is owned by Coinbase. I made a video. If you just search on YouTube or check out my videos, GDAX is owned by Coinbase. It's like the institutional version of Coinbase, and there are, instead of the 1.5 to 4% fees on, instead of the 1.5 to 4% fees on Coinbase, you basically have the maximum of 0.3% fees and the minimum of 0% fees. So you can literally pay 0 fees if you utilize GDAX, and the user interface is a lot better in my opinion. But I like Coinbase too. It's especially in the US. I know a lot of people don't love certain aspects of it, but they just yesterday announced they're starting to do phone support, and they're doing kind of a lot in the area of, they're doing a lot of work in the area of just kind of increasing user adoption, I think. And it's the type of company that the US government, in my opinion, you need some type of collaboration, at least with the government, and the government has to basically approve. Otherwise, you're going to have a China situation where they're shutting down OKCoin, they're shutting down Huobi. So with that being said, I think Coinbase is the type of legitimate entity that could actually survive if a government comes in and starts giving crap. So we'll see what happens. But I think, in my opinion, Coinbase is the most legit exchange, or the one that I would trust the most out of really any of them. But everybody has their own choices. Everybody does what they want to do, and like I said about buying and selling, it is what you want to do. Use whatever exchange you want to do. That's the beauty of crypto as well. And so it looks like, too, that we're having a little bit of, I'll pull up, let's see the 15-minute charts, but it looks like we're having a little bit of a rebound, actually, which is kind of nice to see as we continue to move forward. But pretty much bounced off 30, let's say 3,600 or so. Looks like it's been somewhat of the bouncing point right now, and we're kind of pushing back up on 3,700 for the past hour 20 minutes. Who knows if that's a long-term, if that's a long-term deal. If not, we'll see how that looks, how that ends up functioning. But to that effect, it'll be interesting to see if this is a little bit of kind of a bull trap going on with crypto, and people are jacking up the price and getting a little bit antsy. I'm sitting on the sidelines with my trading dollars, as I said right now, but the rest of my holdings, my OMG, my Civic, my Manetha, are chilling right now. So Stefan mentioned, are we drinking whiskey right now? This is water. I'm still in the office. I'm meeting up with a buddy for happy hour at 6 p.m. Another dude who's really interested in crypto, so I'm meeting up with a buddy, grabbing some beers with him later on at in 45 minutes or so. So I'll hopefully be drinking beer, whiskey. I don't know if you guys have any good recommendations tonight, but for sure. If you guys are drinking anything special too, I don't know if you're drinking beer, whiskey, water, whatever the hell it is, definitely let me know too. And also, to that point in the China point into the video today, I posted a video today, talked a lot about China, and then also from the perspective of kind of utilizing Twitter to gather a lot of the news. And if you guys ever want, first of all, thanks to a lot of you guys for following me over the course of the day. I think quite a number of you ended up following me today. But if you ever need, like, from a news perspective, if you want to know who I'm following, if you want to know kind of where I get my news from, just go to you should be able to go to my profile, and I believe you can just click the following tab and see kind of who I am following. And feel free to just go down that list and click follow too. There's a lot of people that I would consider, the people there that I'm following are people that I'm following because I think they have information that they could provide to me that I can make either better trading decisions off of, that I can be more educated in the space, things of that nature as well. Martini, Roger, I love that. I'm a Dirty Martini fan. Rum, Dark and Stormy fan myself. We got some whiskey in the house, some single origin Ethiopian coffee. That sounds pretty damn good. I had some pretty legit coffee in Manhattan today. That's one of the nice parts. I'm kind of a coffee snob now, so we'll see what's going on there. But yeah, I'm a Jameson and ginger ale with a wedge of lime. Not bad. Red's Wicked Apple Ale. Not a cider guy. Smoking weed. You do you, my dude. Looks like too, I don't have the actual pushing up on 3,700 here, so this might be, I don't want to say I'm the cause of this little bull run here, but looks like Bitcoin might be, pushing up on a nice little run here. We'll take a look over at the Ethereum chart, see where ETH is. ETH is at 267. I actually bought a little bit of a dip here at 261. So that might be, depending upon how things go, that might be, you can see this little green arrow here. That might be a little bit of a nice trade for me if I want to pull that off, see what happens and see what goes on there. Kosh Peterson, Macallan 12 on the rocks. Macallan is one of my favorites. So if anybody ever wants to send me a bottle of Macallan, feel free. I will gladly accept that. I'll gladly drink that. I'm a big rye whiskey guy, so that's kind of my go-to. If I've had rye whiskey on Crypto Happy Hour a number of different times before, so that's some good shit. And guys, too, outside of it as well, I actually have some interviews coming up. Sorry for the shitty quality on this internet right now, but I have a couple of interviews coming up as well. Let me know if you have questions of specific cryptocurrency in the chat. If there's anything you want me to kind of cover right now, I'm happy to go into it. Have happy to discuss that as well. But I do have 2 interviews coming up, which I think should be pretty solid. They're not sponsored interviews, there's nothing like that, but 2 people that I'm familiar with in the space reached out to me that have pre-ICO companies, not sponsored, but I'm going to be interviewing the CEOs and the teams on the channel. So look out for that in the coming days. I have an interview tomorrow at 10 a.m. with an interesting company that's I think doing like a token sale in a month or so. And then outside of that as well, I'm looking at having an interview with a guy who's a Peter Thiel fellow, which Vitalik Buterin was a Peter Thiel fellow, and they have a pretty damn awesome platform. They posted about their project on Reddit. It went pretty viral pretty quickly, so that'll be awesome. And somebody just mentioned I'm going to get into these questions, but High West Campfire, I actually had that at a bar in New York City pretty recently. That was awesome. High West Campfire is fantastic whiskey. I kind of tastes like it's smoked on top of a campfire, but it's pretty damn good. So looking at some of these questions here, one person asked, I have 3,000 euro to invest. What is the best way to do it? Invest directly in the market or invest by mining? Me personally, I think you're better off investing directly in the market, especially if you're talking specifically in regards to like cloud mining. I don't think cloud mining, there's a lot of YouTubers out there that talk about cloud mining and say it's the best thing since sliced bread, but for the most part, that is because they have referral links and cloud mining isn't profitable. You can literally run the calculations on cloud mining and figure out how profitable or how unprofitable it is, and for the most part, it's not that profitable. So you're better off investing straight into the cryptocurrency. And as well, in terms of GPU mining is interesting, it's fun, but I don't think you're going to I think you're, again, better off just buying that cryptocurrency directly. So what I would recommend from my perspective is if you have 3,000 euros to invest, I would simply say that you're probably best off dollar cost averaging your way in. Potentially buy 500 euro today, maybe buy 500 euro tomorrow, buy 500 euro in a week, and just do that over and over and over again. And I think that'll be something that will kind of help you out long term as well. Just going to fix this here. Sweet. And so, yeah, guys, looks like we just had a little bit of a kind of pushback there on that 37 and kind of hitting back into a red candle. So might be looking at a little bit of a bull trap. Who knows? But this is why the charts are honestly so interesting, especially on crazy volatile days like this where shit just goes absolutely nuts. I mean, I don't know about you guys if you've been paying attention quite a bit to the charts today, but it's almost been like impossible to not look at this stuff. Yeah, it could definitely be a bull trap. I mean, if we're looking at things there. So, Luis, I think you shot me a LinkedIn message. Mentioned starting a Dash mining farm. Do you think it could be a good idea in this market? I don't know what you mean by full on like mining farm. Like if you're gonna if it's like a legit company, a mining farm. But I don't know. I mean, I would always like everything in life. I would ease into it. I mean, if you have no mining experience, I would start mining small before you start mining big, because if you put a lot of money into something, you're bound to make it a mistake and you might screw something up. So that'll be interesting to see. You want to make mistakes, and when you make mistakes, you want to make small mistakes. So that's kind of my recommendation there is if you're gonna start a mining farm, you better have mining experience and you better know what the hell you're doing if you're gonna spend a bunch of money on something like that. So Luke mentioned, am I holding Black Moon Coin? Right now I'm holding Black Moon Coin. I have a couple different buy orders set depending upon where it might end up going. I can pull up Liqui here. We'll take a look on Liqui to see what is going on with Black Moon right now. So Black Moon is trading, I would say, a little bit under ICO price right now. It's risen up a little bit, but it's trading under ICO price as of this point in time. I think ICO was about 30.31 ETH or so, or 0.0031, 0.0032 ETH, in that range. I have just a few. I have a little bit of. I sold a little bit for a profit. And I have some, you can even see here, I have some sell order set at 0.0042 and 0.0048 if things really spike. I mean, not that much, about an ETH worth on both. But for the most part, I'm looking at, kind of holding on. That's a minimal amount of my Black Moon. So for the most part, it's holding up fine. It's doing well. So, I'm not too worried about that. So actually, let me pull up that Facebook group link for you guys. So sorry about that. Here's the right Facebook group link if you need that. Jomar, what is up, my man? Appreciate you always joining and your comments as well. Always good to have you. So somebody asked, do I think BMC could reach Economy's current market cap by next year? I mean, it depends on execution for sure. Economy has executed pretty well, I think. But it depends on execution. The one thing I will say, and I'll say this with, and I'll kind of say this about everything, I do think that there is going to be a point in time from an ICO perspective. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I do think there's going to be a point in time from an ICO perspective where you're going to see a consolidation in market cap on some of these recent ICOs that have not proven themselves, have not put together a product, and have not really done too much. I think that's really important, and you want to understand that that's going to happen. ICOs will... There's going to be a point in time where these massive ICOs and these companies that are worth $150 million, $250 million, but that don't have a working project, or that are in alpha and they have no users and they have basically no utility, no nothing. That is going to be, that's going to be important. That you should be aware that they will potentially go to, not necessarily go to zero, but they could go to zero. They could go from $100 million market cap to $5 million market cap. So long term, I think I don't want to say it's safer to have your money in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, but I am looking at a lot of these ICOs. I'm being much more selective. I think a couple months ago, you literally could have bought some of these ICOs for dirt cheap, and the second they hit an exchange, they just popped up in price to the freaking moon. But now people are being more selective about what ICOs they're buying, because there's so many ICOs on the market. There's so many new cryptocurrencies. So they want to see a product. They want to see user adoption. They want to see merchant adoption. They want to see all that type of stuff as well. And so somebody mentioned, am I not worried about the SEC coming down on you since I openly admit participating in ICOs? ICO participation in the United States is not illegal. That's number one. ICO participation in the United States isn't illegal. There are some companies that are, I would say, worried about ICOs, but participating in an ICO in the United States, the ICO has never come out and straight out banned ICOs. They've just said that some ICOs that have happened are potentially securities, and if these ICOs are securities, then you could potentially get in trouble, whether that's forfeiture of funds or I would. So number one, I don't want to participate in any ICOs that could potentially be securities. So the ICOs I have participated in, they've only been for U.S. citizens, and they haven't banned U.S. citizens, that type of thing. But to that point as well, when the SEC, I think the SEC will conduct more regulation on ICOs in the future. I think that will happen. I would not doubt that would happen. But I think the first place they'd probably go to, quite frankly, is the exchanges and the companies, not necessarily the people that are buying them, because there's so many, what's easier to do if you're going to regulate something? You go to the one centralized location that's selling all those ICO tokens and the company that is offering those ICO tokens, or do you go to the 20,000 people that just bought those tokens that may or may not have some specific level of anonymity? You're going to go to the exchanges and you're going to go to the companies. You're going to basically cut the dragon's head off. You're not going to try to like pick up 7,000 ants on the ground. That's kind of what I think about as well. Yeah, so somebody mentioned ICOs are mostly bullshit at this point in time. I mean, there are a good amount of bullshit ICOs, don't get me wrong. I think there's still some gems for sure. And there's still the window is closing to make money on ICOs if you are an investor, but it's not closed. I think there's still an opportunity to make money on ICOs. There's still an opportunity to increase your Ethereum stack or your Bitcoin stack, whatever it might be, on ICOs. But there's definitely it's a smaller and smaller window every day. And the people that talk about becoming millionaires on ICOs, I'm never going to be the type of dude or YouTuber or whatever that's going to be like, ICOs are the biggest opportunity of your life. They're going to make you a millionaire and you just need to participate in all these ICOs, buy my ICO course, like all that crap. Like that's not, I don't think that's realistic anymore. There's still going to be really good opportunities within ICOs, but it's getting smaller and smaller. And one thing that you should probably be aware of too is that there's more and more VC money getting into ICOs before you are as well, because the legit companies, like the companies that actually are putting together a product and they're actually not some like Joe freaking schmo in the middle of nowhere in a basement asking for $20 million, the ones that have connections and the ones that are like legit in the industry are starting to take money before they take money from you, from whether it's blockchain capital, Pantera capital, all these like VC, crypto-specific VC firms are getting in that pre-ICO rate, and they're getting money at a better rate than you as well. And so Richard mentioned too, and I'll go into this as well. Richard mentioned, what is stopping the U.S. and China from just using a VPN and joining another exchange? So there's something that you probably want to be aware of, and that would be know your customer, or the issues around basically identity verification. Like you can, if the only thing stopping somebody from, if the only identity verification that a company has in place is IP address restriction, yeah, it's pretty damn easy to hop in TunnelBear, hop in a VPN, and just say you're in Mexico or in Europe, and then bingo bango, you're in. But if a company asks for your passport or your driver's license or your address or your social security number or whatever the hell it is, then you're kind of screwed. It's kind of, you can't really VPN around your passport. So, and that's what a lot of people are, that's what a lot of people are doing as well, is ICOs and ICOs that, typically, or back in the past, ICOs that didn't want U.S. participants would just say, hey, we're going to ban IP addresses from the United States. And people are like, yeah, okay, like I'm going to hop in a VPN and say I'm from Canada, and then bingo bango, I bought your ICO, or bought into your ICO. Now people are saying, show me your passport. And it's kind of hard to get around that. And then that also covers that company from saying, hey, we didn't sell anything to U.S. citizens. SEC can't come after us. So we'll see what happens there. But that's the KYC, know your customer stuff, is becoming more and more important as kind of regulation or potential regulation in this space continues to happen. And pulling back up in the Bitcoin chart, so it looks like potentially was a little bit of a maybe a little bit of a bull trap there, and that's kind of one thing that you want to try to maintain some excitement about when this stuff happens. When you run from 3,600 or so all the way back up to 3,700, and then you buy in at 3,700. Don't buy in those green candles, buy in the red candles. That's every damn time. Buy in the red candles, don't buy in the green candles. You can see it over and over and over again anytime you're trading, anytime you're looking at it. Yeah, so guys, too, Crypto Mike mentioned it, but if you don't know, I'm actually having an ICO. It is going to be, what it is we're going to be, with the China regulation ban, I'm actually doing an ICO, and it's specifically for Chinese citizens. And what's going on is I am buying a bunch of carrier pigeons, and they're going to deliver. They're going to deliver USB sticks with USB sticks that have. You can see here. This is kind of a what the ultimate visualization is. They're going to be delivering USB sticks with Bitcoin and Ethereum to Chinese citizens so that they can skirt government regulation. I think right now it's probably going to be about a $2 billion hard cap. Going to do a pre-ICO sale, 15% off if you want to get in early. I think the big opportunity for us too is that we're going to be. I'm a big fan of Ledger. I really like Ledger. That's what I use my Ledger Nano S. The upsell is, we could do non-encrypted USB sticks, or we'll do ledgers as well. But if you guys want to get in on that ICO, like I said, $2 billion hard cap. So I think pretty conservative valuation, and something that, there's a really good amount of money to make there. So hit me up if you guys need, hit me up if you guys are interested in getting into that ICO. I'm probably, quite frankly, going to be keeping about 75% of that, of those tokens for myself. Just because I want to buy a new Lambo, and I am, looking to pay off my mortgage and also buy a house in the Caymans. So, FYI, but that'll all be in the 2-page white paper. So, you guys don't worry about that, but buy that ICO. So, if you guys think I'm kidding, I'm really launching my Pigeon ICO. It's going to happen. It's going to be big. It's going to, pigeons on the blockchain. Everybody knows pigeons on the blockchain. Right next to Jesus Coin, like my two main holdings soon are going to be Jesus Coin and Pigeon Coin. So, guys, we'll be good. We'll be good there. I can't take myself seriously anymore now. I'll send a link to the white paper. I think I said it before, but I'm going to draw it in Crayola crayon, and I think Vitalik is actually going to be an advisor on the project. So I'm hoping that just having Vitalik on there will be big, and yeah, we're just going to democratize and decentralize pigeons through a pigeon-oriented exchange in China. I think that's really going to be an exciting project for you guys. If you'd like to, get in on it, please feel free to let me know. I'm putting the website together. The pre-sale is going to happen, so we'll be good to go. And outside of Pigeon, my sweet Pigeon ICO idea, that's gonna, like I said, that's gonna go to the moon. But for any real cryptocurrency, minus my Pigeon Coin idea and Jesus Coin, because I will never talk about Jesus Coin again. After last night or 2 nights ago, I'm never talking about Jesus Coin again. But outside of that, somebody asked, Gravitron asked, am I drunk? I'm sober as hell. This is water, but preferably I'll be a little bit tipsy in like an hour or so. So we'll see what happens. But if you guys have questions on other crypto that you'd like me to check out, I'll take a couple right now that'll go into and look over to see just from that perspective of, I'll pull them up in the charts and see what is, what's going on. And so while you guys are, pulling that up, I know a couple different people mentioned OMG. I'm a holder of OMG, so I'll pull that up and take a look at it. But OMG has had a nice little dipski from, I'll pull up the 4-hour charts and take a look at those. But OMG's had a nice dip from its all-time highs of about $13. It's kind of followed the market for the most part. I thought it had held up pretty well, for sure, from some of the drops. But over the past couple days, since really like the 19th, past 2 days, it's definitely taken a little bit of a fall. I still do think that this is, OMG is one of my long-term holds. So, and I have one of my buddies was texting me today and saying, hey, I'm thinking about kind of, dipping my toes into OMG. Is now a good spot. I think now might be a good spot to jump into, OMG. But And I think you're seeing a little bit of resilience here on the 4-hour charts when it went all the way down to $7 or so and is now back up to $8. But I think OMG is a bargain there for sure. So we got IOTA, LISC as well, so I can take a look at those. So I'll look at IOTA. Let's see. Trying to remember the actual symbol for IOTA here. So let's take a looky-loo here. So IOTA is down, a little bit more than Bitcoin and Ethereum over the course of the day, and is down, a bit since its all-time highs when it was worth about $3 billion or so. Kind of pushed up on $3 billion, worth about half that at this point in time. A little less than half of $3 billion. With that being said, the one thing I think about IOTA is I think it's definitely like a moonshot crypto. It's already richly valued. I think it is richly valued, maybe a little bit overvalued, quite frankly. But the premise of IOTA, I think, is could be pretty solid there for sure. They have had some, I would say, some difficulties potentially with 10x. I'm reading the chat right now. They had some difficulties, I believe, with kind of technically scaling and how some of that is has been able to move forward there. But with that being said, I would keep an eye on how IOTA can continue to execute in the long run, because they got ripped apart pretty good in terms of their security audit and how things were, basically how they're able to function from a security perspective. So I would keep an eye on how that will look moving forward for, just your kind of, so you can stay in the know about things as well. And looking at some of these questions, so 2 people asked about Black Moon Coin. Since I did a video on that, I'll mention that one again. I think Black Moon has held up pretty well in its ETH pairing perspective. It's trading basically at ICO levels, so I feel pretty confident that once it gets added to a bigger exchange outside of Liquid, that you'll see a nice little spike there. So I'm holding for the time being. I have a couple sell orders set at quite a bit, at like 25-30% higher than where we're at right now, but that's kind of where my head is at this point in time. I'm going to hold. This is not all my stack. This is just kind of my initial investment there, so we'll see what goes on with that. Now, outside of a couple of different people mentioned Chainlink as well. I was looking into potentially investing in the Chainlink ICO. To be honest, I completely forgot that the ICO is happening, so I didn't invest in it that morning. And with that being said, I've seen some good things as far as its movement so far on the exchanges. So Chainlink is a really interesting project. I think it could be a pretty solid investment. I haven't looked at where it's trading right now, but from Chainlink's perspective, I think it is a pretty interesting investment moving forward. So a couple different people mentioned 10x. I think 10x does a good job of marketing, honestly. For me personally, I'm in the U.S. and I'm not able to utilize 10x. So to that point in time, though, I'm not like massively like super interested in 10x. I missed out on the ICO. But 10x has taken quite a hit since 10x has taken quite a bit of a hit since things have gone on. Like, they had a really nice spike in the middle of August, up to almost $600 million, and they're now back to sub 200 million. So yeah, you might be holding some bags on 10x, but maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But for me personally, I'm not going to invest in 10x. I think there's probably better places to put your money, and I think for like what the project is and how things are going there, I'm not in on 10x. Somebody mentioned Paragon Coin. I'm definitely not in on Paragon Coin. I think honestly, if there's any BS ICOs, I think Paragon Coin is one of those BS ICOs. So let's see. That's kind of my thought process there as far as Paragon Coin is concerned. I'm definitely just not like decent, you know, if they do well, fine. But they were literally in an article. Paragon Coin was in an article the other day saying they didn't need money, and they were doing an ICO because they didn't need money essentially, and they were just doing it for the community. Like, don't be full of shit. Like, if you're doing an ICO, you're basically doing it for the most part. Like, a lot of people are doing it as a cash grab. When you're coming out and you're saying like, hey, we're decentralizing marijuana, we're doing this, we're doing that, you know, that's for the most part, in my opinion, BS. So that is, you know, that's kind of crap in my humble opinion. But I'll take, you know, we'll try and get try to brush some of those things off as much as possible. So auditory escapism, thank you for that super chat. I appreciate it. I don't know. I think I was supposed to have. I screwed it up on the OBS, but I'm supposed to have a GIF pop up and like a sound happen when a super chat comes in. I had it behind the screen, so if somebody else wants to throw in a super chat too, I just want to see that GIF pop up and see if it actually works or not. I did like a new extension within this tool, so if anybody else throws in a super chat, hopefully I can actually see if that works there. But auditory escapism, what do I think about Icon ICX? Is it a good buy? I've heard some interesting things about Icon. I am not. For me right now, I think this is this the Icon IX coin, or is it a different one, you know, that we're talking about here? Because I've heard about Icon in the ICO. I think this maybe it's not in CoinMarketCap, but if I'm not mistaken, it's a recently ICO'd crypto. So I'm not sure if that's there yet. But yeah, sorry, we can definitely talk about that. Let me know if that's what we were talking about, or if it was a different one. So I appreciate that super chat as well. Thanks a lot for that. And if anybody else has a question they really want answered, throw it in a super chat so I can at least see that GIF, and I'll definitely get to your question as well. Yeah, so stacking 9mm mentioned, just buy weed with money. I'm not condoning the purchase of illicit, anything illicit on this YouTube channel, but I don't think, with ICOs, the one thing I think you want to be careful of, the one thing you want to be cognizant of is not everything needs to be on the blockchain. Not everything is more effective on the blockchain. A lot of this stuff is literally just a cash grab by people. So, like I said about my Pigeon Coin, that's, in my opinion, my Pigeon Coin may or may not be a cash grab. I might be trying to retire. I think the people beyond Paragon Coin are, I don't know. It's just like that type of thing. When you're all over advertising on CoinMarketCap, and you're all over advertising on Twitter, and you're retargeting me on Facebook and all that stuff, like that not super appealing to me, but we'll see what's up there. So Sizzle mentioned, have I checked out Power Ledger? Yeah, I've actually spoken to the co-founder and talked to them about Power Ledger a little bit. I am, they had asked me in terms of doing a review on my channel, so I haven't done that yet. Just because I got some feedback from some people that didn't really love the sponsored reviews or the sponsored interviews, so I've been avoiding that for right now. But yeah, I have looked into Power Ledger. I've read the white paper. It's interesting. It's a little bit niche, but it's interesting, and there's been some good, kind of some good feedback for the most part on Power Ledger, and I think they have a pretty, legit team in place. So I've looked into Power Ledger. I haven't participated in anything there as well. What about John mentioned ETC. For me, ETC, I'm not super interested in ETC. It's just, for me personally, I don't know. I think there's better places to put your money than ETC. If I'm looking at things, I just don't see ETC. There's not as much development going on with it as there is with Ethereum. The team isn't as strong. There's not as much excitement around it. Maybe there's some good aspects of it, but it could it could also be, it could also just potentially die out as well. So I have no idea if that'll happen or not. But for me, Ethereum Classic ETC is not something that I'm super like crazily interested in by any stretch. So that's just my thought process. I know there's some pretty smart people. I think Barry Silbert at DCG has put a lot of money into things there. But on the other hand, that is kind of is what it is there. So we'll see kind of how that happens. Currency 365, appreciate the super chat there as well. Thanks so much for that, dude. That's awesome. GIF still didn't pop up, so god damn it. But I don't know why that didn't happen. So I was looking forward to the GIF to pop up, and it just hasn't done a damn thing yet. Let me see if it'll actually. You guys give me 2 seconds here to see what is going on there and why it's not doing that. And as I'm looking at this, I'm doing it on one screen here, but as I'm looking at at this right now, for me personally, I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts on ETC and kind of what they think about it in general. But for me personally, I am just much more interested on the aspect of Ethereum than I am with let's see here. Perfect. So hopefully that'll pop up. If not, it is what it is. Supposed to be a sweet GIF that will happen, but I don't know. Just because I'm a How I Met Your Mother fan, and it's supposed to be a damn high five. Daniel, appreciate that, dude. That's pretty awesome as well. So thanks, man. Really do appreciate that. So looking into some of these things, will we recover from this bear attack? So I'll pull up the Bitcoin charts here, and we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at the Bitcoin charts. I like looking at GDAX for this, so I'll look at GDAX, US dollar. I mean, I think we're absolutely going to recover from. This. We've had some bad days, let's say that, but at the same point in time, I think we're going to be just fine here. So. We will be just fine. Having a little bit of a pullback again, back to the low 30, 36 range or so. But with that being said, we'll be fine. Everything will work out for the better, and we'll see how things end up with that. But I mean, I think there's still definitely potentially room to go down a little bit further. And see how that ends up functioning as well. If somebody wants to do me a favor, I just want to see, honestly, if this thing works at all. I don't give a shit if you throw in 1 cent, but throw in one of these super chats, and I want to see if this thing in the green actually works, or if I just completely screwed up the implementation of this. But throw that in, and if anybody could throw in, I don't give a shit if it's a cent or a dollar or whatever. But if you guys can throw in a super chat so I can actually see if this thing worked. If not, I just won't use it again. But trying to experiment with all this stuff as I go. And so a few different people mentioning some things. Kyber tokens. I've heard some really positive things about Kyber tokens. And it has... I've heard it's up quite a bit from the ICO. I don't believe they allowed U.S. participants within the ICO, so I wasn't able to participate in the ICO there. But with that being said, if you were able to get in that ICO, I think that was probably one of the most anticipated ICOs going forward. So I'd probably hold on to that. Maybe take a little bit of profits. It's never a bad thing. So Gelstein mentioned Navcoin. I've spoken a little bit about Navcoin before. It's something that I have some interest in. As well, Navcoin, and I think it's good potential. From a privacy coin perspective, it's going to come down to execution, and if they can actually execute on things moving forward, kind of how that process will go forward, if they can actually make anything happen there, and kind of what. There we are, David Barkman. Thank you. It actually worked. So that's supposed to come up in a transparent way, but it actually didn't do that. So there was the little GIF for us. So thank you, David. And that's supposed to come up anytime anybody throws in a super chat, so I can kind of say thank you to guys, and everybody else can see that going on as well. So thanks again for that, David. I appreciate that. Thanks for helping me test that out too. Just taking a look at what is what's happening kind of right now with all of this stuff and how it's continuing to move forward. So looking at some of these cryptos and kind of what is happening right now with some of these cryptos. I mean, for me, thoughts on ARK actually. Sizzle mentioned thoughts on ARK. I've heard some really positive things on ARK. I haven't done, quite frankly, like a full bit of due diligence. It's had a great run, really, though, since since kind of August or so. It's more than tripled, which is pretty damn good. Which is pretty damn impressive. Top 20 coin at this point in time. The one thing I will say is, sometimes some of these coins will have these runs where, whether it's 10x moving into the top 20 or something like ICO Coin back in the day moving into the top 20, it is that type of basically that scenario. Sometimes they can fall out of that range pretty easily. So sometimes taking profits isn't the worst thing on the planet. I got a question. I've got a few questions about NEO, so I'll pull up NEO and we can talk about that. And as I'm pulling up NEO. If you guys are new to the channel, I know we have like 200, 300 people on this right now. Hit the subscribe button if you are new here. I do daily recorded crypto videos as well as some. I do daily recorded crypto videos, and then I will also do these crypto happy hours. So hit the subscribe button. If you also hit the little notify button on the mobile app or wherever you are next to you, that helps to get notified anytime I do go live. But that would be super helpful. Almost at 15,000 subscribers, which is pretty crazy to think about just in general. And you guys are pretty damn awesome for being here, for hanging out with me, for all these questions. It's been freaking phenomenal having you guys here. So I'm gonna pull up NEO on the 1-day charts here, so we can take a look at NEO if this loads. Let's see here. I'll pull it up on the 6-hour charts because the 1-day charts kind of suck on Coinigy for this. But let's see. There we are. 6-hour charts kind of suck too. We'll look at NEO to Bitcoin. So NEO has taken a dip and a half since mid-August. Back in like August 13th, NEO was up to $53 or so. As of right now, NEO's down to below $18, which is almost its low for the past month and a half at this point in time. With that being said, I bought NEO when it was back at $6 US. I sold it when it was about at $38. For me right now, I'm not in on NEO, quite frankly. I think there's too much regulatory uncertainty with China, and like NEO's, even if NEO has more usefulness outside of just China, I think so many investors are just fixated on NEO being the Ethereum of China. And if there is no cryptocurrency in China, then that there goes NEO's value proposition. So while I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer on any cryptocurrency. I know a lot of you guys are. Kind of holding NEO for the long term and watching a lot of that type of stuff. Really hoping for the best with NEO. For me personally, I am I'm out on Neo for just the time being, at this point at least. That's just kind of my thought process on Neo at this, from this standpoint. Mike, appreciate that, Mike, appreciate that, that super chat. Really do appreciate that. Yeah, man. Suit up, baby. I'm gonna kill Streamlabs though for not working properly, because all I wanted to do was have a solid GIF, and it's not working as well as I would hope. It's not popping up where it should. So sorry about that, but yeah, Mike, I really do appreciate that for sure, dude. And I mean, for me personally with Neo, like a lot of the stuff going on with Neo, maybe you're holding, maybe you're not, but it's just with kind of my thought process on that I don't know exactly where my head's at with Neo, but I'm out on Neo for right now. And guys, if you do have any suggestions for where I should grab drinks with Kyle once I actually go to real happy hour. I'm heading to happy hour with Kyle, who is actually in the YouTube live right now. So say hi to Kyle if you're watching this. Tell me where I should go to happy hour in Manhattan and what I should have as my first drink, and I'll see if I can make that happen. But yeah, about to head out to happy hour in a little bit for a real happy hour and stop drinking water in a conference room in my office because it's after 5 o'clock. But say what's up to Kyle. He is not my wife. I know you guys have said what's up to my wife before, but say what's up to Kyle and let me know what I should get to drink. And if you have any good suggestions as far as where I should head in the city, let me know there as well. As you're making those suggestions, Brian mentioned Manitha. I am holding Manitha right now. It has been, quite frankly, a little bit disappointing in terms of like how it's held up. In the market, it's been okay. But for me right now, I am holding up onto Manitha until it hits a larger exchange. It's really the only exchange that really has any volume is Ether Delta and a little bit Mercatox, and right now HitBTC too. But I mean, those are all kind of like, honestly, like not shitty exchanges, but they're not the greatest exchanges. So I want to see Manitha get onto Ether Delta or onto I want to see Manitha get onto Ether Delta or get onto not Ether Delta. I'm going out of my mind right now. Onto Bittrex or Poloniex or something of that nature, something of that stature. So we'll see. We'll see how that's going as well. And guys, as as I'm going through this, I am going to, like I said, I'm actually going to head out now for a real drink because this has been water in this cup the whole time, unfortunately. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with me for Crypto Happy Hour. Again, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. Good luck buying, trading, holding, selling, whatever it might be. A lot of good stuff coming up in the pipeline in terms of videos, so definitely stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for your time, and have a good one. Peace, everybody.